Hey, everybody. Come on in. Good to see everyone. My agent locator crowd. How are you guys today? Good looking faces there. Look at that. We got some people on camera. All right, everybody. Let's turn your cameras on. This is a highly interactive webinar. I am not pre-recorded. I am not AI. Not yet, anyway. Not until I can figure it out. But at some point that may happen. My name is Dale Archdekin. For those of you guys on camera right now, by show of hands, how many of you have done training with me before or know who I am? One, two, my mom, not Felix Newman. Thank you, Felix Newman, for that vote of in unconfidence. So my name's Dale Archdekin. I'm the founder of Smart Sales Coaching. We specialize in scripting, dialogue, training for salespeople, specifically real estate agents, inside sales, and teams and brokerages across the US and Canada, which is why most of you are here. So here's what I'm curious about. How many of you are agent locator clients? Because I know by show of hands, how many use agent locator here? Okay. So because they do also advertise this webinar, so there might be people who are not agent locator users. I'm going to be talking about some of the agent locator features today. It's not an agent locator webinar, okay? This is a lead conversion scripting dialogue training webinar, and we are going to be doing some live role play. And Felix Newman has volunteered to be our first role player today, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for that vote of confidence, Felix. No, but listen, seriously, we will be role playing today, and we're working on setting seller appointments, right? Setting listing appointments. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm going to show you where you can find more information about me and my company. These are some of my gorgeous trainers here. I even have a Canadian, the dark-skinned man here. Daquan is a Canadian. He's just like you. And he's a fantastic trainer among my other trainers that work for my company, and this is not all of them. But like I said, what we do is we specialize in scripting and dialogue training. I came from selling real estate. I then went on to building and managing teams and building inside sales teams. And for those of you that don't know what an inside sales team is, it is a very expensive, oh my God, I hope this works out and we actually make money on it endeavor. And I spent a lot of years figuring out how to make those things work and how to make them profitable. And a lot of the scripting and dialogue things, techniques, strategies that we teach come from building and managing and making those expensive inside sales departments profitable. So on our website, you can see we have a class schedule here. We teach live classes on Zoom like this to much smaller groups than this. Highly interactive, and you can see the different topics that we have here, and these are open to all of our clients. Likewise, there's something that I'm going to offer you guys today, which is called a skill assessment, and I'll talk more about that. But basically, what you can do is if you like what we're doing here today, and you know that you have some sort of skill gap in either getting contacts to talk to you or overcoming objections or setting logical appointments and setting good qualified appointments, you can jump on a quick skill assessment with one of our trainers, and they'll take you through your paces real quick just to give you feedback on where you might be deficient in your skill set to get more qualified appointments set. And I'll run a poll as we get down closer to the end where you can say, yes, please, let me have somebody reach out to me for a skill assessment. But let me give you the magic first, and then you're all going to line up to do a skill assessment with us. Sound good, Victoria Fiore? Yes.
You
Okay.
betcha.
You betcha. I like it. There we go. All right. I have a question. And again, this is interactive. What's hard about setting listing appointments? Jeff White or Herbert Hernandez or George Spiropoulos? I like that name.
Probably have to start with getting over the making the call part before setting the appointment.
Okay, Jeff, I would say that's a good first hurdle to get over is having the contacts. What else? William Rodriguez, what's hard about setting listing appointments?
Just not getting hung up on. The first, after so many people calling these listing, these potential prospects, you're the third or fourth agent. Just, hey, I already said for the last 5 calls, I got this. No, and just to hang up. So try not to keep those people on the phone.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Who else? What's hard about setting listing appointments?
Keeping the momentum.
Okay, expand on that a little bit for me. What's the momentum?
Uh, After so many calls that you do a day, it's you get bored sometimes. You have to be creative, so on and so forth. So the speaking with, for me, speaking with a person on the other line is not difficult, but you always have to be highly motivational for yourself in order to create various ways of listening to the client and see how fast you could create that appointment for that person.
Okay, got it. Thank you, George. Anyone else? Anyone? Anthony Brown.
There's nothing
Raise.
hard about setting listing. There's nothing hard about setting listing appointments.
Great. Uh, Everybody, Anthony's here to teach the class today. I'm just messing with you. Okay, Anthony. I said, what's hard about setting listing appointments? You said nothing.
Nothing.
Excellent. All right. Do you have anything to offer in terms of any obstacles that could get in the way with regard to someone saying yes to you? So you call 10 people and 10 people let you come to their house and talk to them about selling their house?
No, you get about 1 in 10.
1 in 10. Okay, what about the other 9?
Love rejection. Every no gets me closer to a yes.
I love that spirit. I think you can come sell for me. Thank you. Harpreet raised her hand. Harpreet, what's hard about setting listing appointments?
I think it's mainly what to say in their unique situation.
Got it. Ooh, she could have, you couldn't have set that better up for me, Harpreet, than that response, which is knowing what to say in their situation. I love it. Okay. So today we're going to talk about getting more listing appointments. We're going to talk about actually finding more people that are going to say yes to you. And more importantly, how to change your language. Thank you, Harpreet. So that you can have more opportunities to get in front of people who aren't necessarily or weren't traditionally ready for a listing appointment, if that makes sense. So we're going to go through that and we're going to do some role playing around that. And what that involves is making a logical ask for an appointment. So we're going to talk about the difference between logical and illogical ask for an appointment and shifting your language. So we have these different stages that you want to be listening for so you can understand where someone is at. But first, I want to ask you guys this. By show of hands, how many of you actually have a daily goal for seller asks? I know Anthony Brown does. Do you have a daily goal? Sudi raised her hand, right? Okay, this is a rhetorical question then. Here's what I'm telling you. I see some of these guys starting to write. Good job. You need to have a daily goal for making seller asks. If you want it, you have to focus on it and you have to do it consistently. So by show of hands, how many of you still have low inventory in your markets? Most people? Is anybody shifting back the other way? I know Canada has a little more varied market than the US does. But for the most part, everybody here, you're still dealing with some lower inventory. Let me put it this way. It looks like for everybody listening to this, if you could take more listings, you would be winning more. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then you need to, well, Herbert, if you could take more listings that are priced right. Okay, got it. There we go. Good. We got the qualifications in there. So you need to have a daily goal for seller asks in that case so that you can be focused on actually getting more listing appointments. I know that sounds dumb to maybe some of you, but for a lot of you, I know that your focus goes all over the place, and some of you just want to get whatever you can get every day or every week. If you aren't purposeful, you probably aren't going to end up with what you want. Your results are going to be all over the place if your focus is all over the place. But if you can at least be purposeful about making a certain number of listing asks per day, it's going to help you get there. Okay, let's talk about leads. How many of you need more seller leads? By show of hands. Okay, good. Now, for my agent locator people, actually, let's start here. How many of you guys are actively door knocking or actively sponsoring and conducting events in your local market? Or how many of you are cold prospecting around neighborhoods Or how many of you are actively holding open houses and proactively inviting neighbors to come to these things? So I'm asking these. Thank you, Sudi. She raised her hand. I see hands going up. That's great. Just for clarification, do you guys have questions, or are you saying me by raising your digital hand?
Saying me.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I'm asking some of these things rhetorically because I know that none of you are doing all of those things, most likely, right? Except maybe one or two of you. Some of you might do some of those things or have tried a few of those things and possibly inconsistently. So the first thing is have a daily ask. Second thing is have your set activities that you execute on a daily and or weekly basis and do them consistently. You have to do them consistently over time. My friend, does anybody here know who Greg Harrelson is by show of hands? Greg Harrelson from Century 21, North Carolina, massive guy, his team does brokerages, do several thousand deals per year. And I was just talking with Greg, and he calls it a data race. Greg is in a data race. And what he means by that is he's in a race to collect as much contact information for as many people in the markets he serves as possible. And we're talking well over 100,000 contacts in his database. Because what Greg wants to do and the way that Greg has found success is in consistently interacting with and growing the database that he has and leveraging every tool that he possibly can to do that. So when I talk about old school stuff like door knocking, events, open houses, circle prospecting, in and of themselves, I've done every one of these. I've done every one of these things, and I've run teams that do every one of these things. In the day-to-day, they aren't crazy productive, right? You aren't going to be crushing it on one trip outdoor knocking. You aren't necessarily going to be crushing it with one session or even a week's session of circle prospecting. The whole point, though, is that you're actively building your database over time. That is what the game is. And then the question is, are you leveraging the tools that you already have at your disposal to put as many touches on that database as you possibly can to surface those seller listings for yourself? Because the truth of it is, seller leads are very expensive to generate if you're running the ads yourself. And if you're trying to buy this stuff from somebody else, most of it is junk and will take a very long time to cultivate into anything. Okay. So if you guys are agent locator users, they have some really amazing tools. And I'm going to show this for those of you that aren't aware of it or that aren't using it, because I know if I asked how many of you know about these tools, probably 75% of your hands are going to go up. And then I said, how many of you have your whole database on these tools? And maybe about 20% of you are going to have your hands up. So I want to show you the tools real quick. Let me share my screen. So first tool up, if you are a agent locator user, is Nosy Neighbor, right? I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. If you're not an agent locator user, you can just reach out to them to book a demo, or my assistant will drop the email in the chat here and you can reach out to them. They're super awesome people. I don't get paid to do this. I don't get paid to do these webinars for them. We have a symbiotic relationship where they put me in front of you, I teach you some stuff, and then you love us, right? Win-win. So this is called their Nosy Neighbor thing. And basically what it is you set your entire sphere of influence and your past clients and, frankly, any of your leads who you know own a property and know what their address is. You put this in here, you put in their address, and they're going to get an alert anytime something comes on the market so that they can stay up to date on what's going on in their individual neighborhood without you lifting a finger. So I challenge you, if you have Agent Locator, have every single person in your sphere and your past clients on this feature, and it's going to provide a certain number of touches for you. If you want to know how it works, there's a video right here on the landing page. Super, super simple. Also, well, I'll get to that next. The next one is the home worth right here. They have a home worth tool, right? So it's a home valuation tool. You can be running this once a year, twice a year to all your past clients in your sphere. And with both the Nosy Neighbor and the Home Worth, you can be running your own Facebook and Google ads to these landing pages to get people to register for this stuff and get into your database. I don't personally have an agent locator site. That doesn't mean that I don't think they're fantastic. It's just that I started with another website platform 13 years ago who has the same tools. Agent Locator has the same tools, and I'm telling you right now that it is a game changer when you actually use these. And when I do webinars for that other website company, a lot of the people on the webinar don't know about these tools or aren't leveraging these tools. So the next time that you want to complain about not having seller leads and you don't have all your people on those two tools, stop complaining, get your people onto those tools, and then you can start complaining again. Okay? That's the only rule. You can complain if you have all your people on that. All right. And I just want to say one other thing. When you're calling these leads, when you're having these conversations, you have to ask them if they have a property to sell or if they know somebody who has a property to sell. Okay? Is that so obvious, everybody? Yes, totally obvious, right? Well, guess what? I'm a training company and we listen to thousands of hours of sales calls. And I can say beyond the shadow of a doubt that I've never heard any agent or ISA consistently ask if somebody had a property to sell. Okay? So it happens. I'm just reminding you. You have to make the asks. Okay. Let's talk about logical versus illogical. So you have to make the asks, but when should you ask for the appointment? This is the other thing that we hear a lot. A logical ask will get you a yes, typically. An illogical ask will typically get you a no. And just to explain, I hear it so often when we're training salespeople and when we're training ISAs, a lot of times salespeople just think that you have to be closing, that you always have to be asking for something, right? You always have to be asking for an appointment. That's wrong. That's wrong. You should always close when it's time to close. You should always close when it's logical and appropriate. You should not close when it's illogical or inappropriate. What you do instead is your best effort to make it logical and appropriate with your conversation. Does that make sense, everybody? So here's how I classify logical versus illogical. And illogical, it's illogical if you could say to yourself, based on everything this lead has said so far, if I said, can I come to your house? The answer would be no, or I already have that covered. If it's likely that lead would say no, or I have that covered, it's an illogical ask. So I'll give you an example. The lead says to you, oh, hey, we aren't ready to think of selling until sometime late next year. And when we do, we have an agent that we know and love. We will call them. Okay. Raman Nickpour says, oh, I hear all of that. Well, can I come to your house and show you how I sell homes? Raman, what's the most likely answer to that question? No. The most likely answer to that question is going to be no, because it's illogical. They said not yet, not with you, right? And I have the problem solved when I get there. Saying this might sound super obvious to you guys, but you have to listen to as many sales calls as I do. And you'd be shocked at how many illogical asks there are for appointments. Now, conversely, a logical appointment means that the appointment is the obvious next step in your conversation. Okay? It's the obvious next step in your conversation, or you can make a logical leap to it being the next step. So, obviously, for illustration purposes, if a lead says, oh my God, I wish I could get an experienced agent to come to my house in the next day or two to tell me what I need to do to sell my house for the most money and answer my burning questions, right? You pretty much have no confusion over what needs to happen next in that conversation, right, everybody? You ask for the appointment. You set the appointment. You say, great, let's do it on Tuesday. It'll take 20 minutes. That's pretty obvious. So in between those two, where it's very obvious going to be a no, up to it's very obvious that they're likely to say yes to that. And even sometimes they may still say no or not yet or not with you, right? You have to take the conversation in a direction that can make it logical. And I want you to write these things down. So you got 4 key criteria. One or more of these has to be present in your conversation before you can have a logical close. The prospect has questions about their value, or the prospect has questions about the condition of their home or what to do to it. That's 2. Condition of their home or what to do about it. 3, they have questions about the selling process. Or I put this one in. I know it's super obvious, but believe me, it gets missed. They're ready to start the process. We call that selling past the sale. If they're ready to start the process and you keep talking and don't ask for the appointment, you're selling past the sale, right? So if you have one of those questions about the value, they have questions about their value. They have questions about the condition of their home or what to do about it. They have questions about the selling process, or they're ready to get the process started. Those all make for a logical close. If you don't have that in your conversation, don't close. Do not close. Okay. So I'll give you some examples here. If I'm talking to William Rodriguez, right? And we're having a conversation, William has not said any of those 4 values at all. Some of you, and this is what we hear a lot of times, might say, oh, got it, William. Okay. I understand you guys want to make a move to wherever. Well, hey, I'd love to come by your home and take maybe 20 minutes, take a look around, tell you what you could do to get it sold. But William hasn't talked about any of that stuff. He didn't reveal that he was curious about the value or the condition or what to do or the selling process. That's a Hail Mary that I've just made. The answer to that likely is going to be no. And I want to tell you why. What do you guys do for a living? Chris LeBlanc, what do you do for a living? You're muted.
Sorry, just came on now. Uh, Basically, I connect the dots. I help people find homes.
You help them
I
find
help people sell homes.
Okay. All right. Felix Newman, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, same over here, helping people to find their homes.
All right.
Sure.
Good. All right. I like it. Jeff White, what do you
connecting peoples, and as we would like to say, we are matchmakers. So we match sellers with buyers, right?
Matchmakers.
So that's what we're here for.
I love it. Okay. Jeff White, let's do a different example. All right. Jeff White, if you go down to a car dealership and you walk onto the car lot and a man or woman approaches you, what is their purpose?
I had a great answer for the last one. I'm not so good at this one, I don't think.
You walk onto a car lot, a man or woman approaches you. What's their purpose?
I would say they're looking to sell me a car.
Woo! Wait a minute. They're not there to consult with you or guide you through your options or be your friend and consultant. What do you mean they're there to sell you a car?
Service.
Well, what you just said may be true, but my personal perception is that they're to close me.
Oh, shocker, everybody. Let me ask you something here. What's different between that car salesperson and you? What's different to the consumer? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing is different. Thank you, Anthony Brown. Nothing's different. Do you know what you represent when you're talking to a prospect, a lead, a friend, a neighbor, a new acquaintance, and you mention that you're in real estate? They're like, oh, shit. He's here to get me to buy a house or sell a house, right? Anything that comes out of my mouth now can and will be used against me to get me to buy or sell a house, right? Okay. Do you know who the only people are that ever forget that we're salespeople? Us. We're the only ones who ever forget we're salespeople. So back to my point. If I ask William, we're having a conversation, William has not brought up any need for the value of his home, the condition of it, what to do, what the process is, or any of those signals, and I ask him to let me come to his house and tell him what it's worth, the answer is likely no. Unless he's ready to get that thing sold and just hasn't mentioned it, right? Or ready to get that process started and just hasn't mentioned it. So instead, I want to bring it into the conversation to see if he's going to give me those signals. So rather than just cold asking William if I can come to his house to tell him how much it's worth, I might ask, hey, William, Have you thought about how much your home would go for in the market? William, have you thought about anything you would want to do to your home to get it ready? I'm just going to ask him. I'm going to implement these concepts. So out of those 4 categories, I'm going to test these things to see what kind of info he gives me. He might say, Dale, I know exactly what my house is going to sell for. I'm constantly watching the market, right? Now, in which case, had I not known that, and I simply blindly said, can I come to your house and tell you what it's worth? First of all, he's going to think, you arrogant jerk. I already know what it's worth because I'm in touch with all this, but I didn't find that out, right? It was a hidden objection. He already has a position that I didn't get from him. So that's one of the big qualifiers, everybody. You aren't getting as many appointments as you could, or you aren't getting as many face-to-face meetings as you could, because in a lot of cases, you are making illogical closes for an appointment. And remember that example that I gave you about the car salesman? Do you want to hear something funny? I do that all the time. Nobody ever says anything when I ask, when that man or woman approaches you on the car lot, nobody ever says anything but sell me a car. Nobody's ever said anything other than that. So when you're talking to a potential seller, when you're talking to a homeowner and they know you're an agent, you represent to them a certain thing. You represent an idea to them, and you have to understand this. You know, and it varies a little bit, but what you represent to the consumer, to the homeowner, a lot of cases is either I, as the seller or property owner, need only use you or only interact with you when I'm ready to sell my home. Or I only interact with you when I'm ready to sign papers, or only interact with you when I'm ready for buyers to walk through my house, right? Or I've made the decision to get sold and moved. And in some cases, we don't even represent giving them information or helping them with the process or informing them. That was the example I gave you with William, right? Where that example was he already knows everything and he'll get in touch with me when he's ready, but doesn't need any info from me. So you have to understand that. In order for you to get more face-to-face appointments, you have to change what you represent to the prospect, to the consumer. Is that resonating, guys? Okay. So you're going to test for, do they have any of those 4 categories of need or want that you guys already wrote down? And then I want to show you this here. Let me go over to this and then we'll start role playing. Remember the car sales guy? This is just a visual representation of what we represent. So keep that in mind, okay, when you're talking to property owners. What property owners or sellers here is, when I'm talking to them as an agent, that they have to be definitely ready to sell and move, ready to advertise their home, ready to choose me as an agent. You know that's in there, right? You know, in some of these conversations you have, you get the feeling that the prospect is talking to you as though even just having a conversation with you means that they have to decide whether to use you or not. Have you guys ever gotten that feeling when you're in a sales conversation with somebody? Yes? Okay. So we have to change those things. And first, what we want to do is recognize what their level of readiness is. And we like to put these into different buckets. So now is pretty obvious. They want to get their property on the market, say within the next 30 days or so, ready to sell now. Those are the people that are clearly giving you those signals. Either they want to know the value or the condition or what to do or the sales process or even getting started. Then you have soon, getting ready to sell. These would be the people that are going to be putting their property on the market beyond a month, probably up to, say, 3 months out, right? That's soon. They're getting ready to sell, but this category starts to get more difficult to get face-to-face with because they're the ones who are making preparations or haven't made certain decisions yet. And again, when you're talking to them, you have to listen for what they regard you as or what they think your value or lack of value is, if that makes sense. And a lot of these getting ready people are the ones who are self-educating, deciding what their process is going to be, and they do it without you. So you want to find out what their process is, what they already know. You're asking them what they know. Then we have later, not ready to sell. Let's say that's 6 months plus, right? Next season, later, not ready to sell now. Even harder for you to get face to face with, because at this point, when it's that far out, they aren't thinking of the knowledge or selling process as this long thing. They're really condensing it down into something short, right? Oh, we'll be putting it on the market, but not until next fall, right? Or after the summertime. And a lot of times they don't even want to have the conversation with you. And then we have takeaway. We call this the takeaway because these are the people that are undecided and not ready to sell at all. They don't even know if they would sell. This category of people could be people who have been left property from an estate, a reluctant landlord type of situation, right? Where they don't have to do anything now, or they don't have to make any decisions. They can be the hardest people to get face to face with because they don't have any desires. And we call it the takeaway because we use a lot of takeaway language. And so with these 4 levels of readiness, you want to change your language as you go through these things. With the now category, it's obvious going to be very immediate. It's going to be very purposeful, very now active language, proactive language, right? Meetings, selling, game plan, strategy, active buyers, competing offers. Soon, I think you guys can all handle the now category, right? And in fact, as we role play through this, some of you are probably going to even need to improve your language and improve your skill set. But now is going to be very actionable language. Soon, we're going to be casting it a little farther out. I want to be saying the words that are in the prospect's head. I want to be saying the things they're thinking. That's when you start hearing things like take a look, advice, progress, preparation, positioning, get ready, right? Then we go to later, right? 6 months or down the road, pre-planning, have time when you're ready, do overtime at some point in the future. Do you hear how far distant that language starts becoming? I'm trying to say the things that they're thinking. And in fact, I haven't changed the slide yet, but I would get rid of the word ready when you're talking to those 6 months plus people. Don't even use the word ready around them. And then we talk about takeaway. This is a special technique. When we say takeaway, have you ever noticed when a salesperson says something like, hey, maybe buying a car isn't even right for you, or maybe now isn't the time? You immediately trust them more, don't you? Especially if you wanted to say no. Because what salesperson in their right mind tells you not to buy something? Yeah? So that's the takeaway. You're using takeaway language to try and get in their head, say what they're thinking, and get on their side of the table and stop being so much of a sales threat to them. So may not happen. Selling isn't best. Whenever that happens, way down the road, if at all. And then another good piece of strategy to throw in to reduce the sales threat when you're talking to somebody is use third-person perspective. And I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So I'm going to take you through some basic scripting, and we just wrote these using the words, okay? This is not like, you don't need to burn this into your memory. What I want is I want you to hear the transition in language. So if I'm talking to somebody who's ready now, hey, I'm excited to help you guys set a game plan to best position your home in this market, capture as many of the active buyers as we can, and let them compete with each other. While I'm there, I can answer any of those process questions I'm sure you guys have about selling your home. Set the day and time, okay? You hear all that immediate actionable language. And I want to point out to you, this also contains in it what's going to happen, right? What they're going to get out of it and what the result is. Those are the things you hear in there when I'm asking for that meeting. Now let's go to somebody soon, right? A couple months down the road. You know, I can come take a look at your progress and maybe give you some advice on what things to focus on for a higher return and which things may not be important, and save you time and money by letting them go while you're still getting your home ready. You hear a lot more later language, not now language, right? And telling them what benefit they're going to get out of this interaction. Now let's go to later, way down the road, right? Yeah, hey, we find that home sellers who do a little pre-planning are the ones who ultimately sell for the most money in any market. And you're lucky that you have this time to get ready. I'd like to come take a look at your home, give you advice on projects that you can do over time to best position your home for maximum return at some point in the future. Lots of way down the road language. Now, I know I said not to use ready. You can take that out of there and still craft this in a way that does not sound anything like, I want you to sell your house now. I want you to sign now. I want you to decide now. That's a big portion of what the language needs to do. Okay? Because you remember what they regard us as. We have to change what we represent. Now let's listen to the takeaway. Undecided and not ready to sell. And you're going to hear a lot of reversal language. Maybe selling really isn't the best decision for you. Who knows? Oh, and listen for third person. Okay. I'm not if Jeff is my prospect, notice I'm not saying you, right? I'm not talking about Jeff. Maybe selling really isn't the best decision for you. Who knows? I have these kinds of conversations all the time with homeowners who may at some point need to decide which way to go. I take a quick look at their home, not Jeff's home, their home, answer questions about the process, what would need to be done to it, and how much they are likely to get for it. I'm happy to do the same for you, even if a sale never happens at all. Got it, everybody? Okay. Now, in changing this language, this will help you get more appointments, get more face-to-face with people who otherwise won't get face-to-face with you because they see this person. This is the person they imagine when you're talking to them. Do you remember if a man or woman approaches you at a car lot, what's their purpose? To sell you a car? If you're talking to a homeowner about their home, about their sale, your purpose to them is to get them to list that house for sale now. Do you understand that? Okay, remember that. They don't forget that. Now, start listening to them when you have these conversations, and if they're not ready to sell or put their house on the market, you will immediately be able to hear that language coming from them, and you'll hear the fear and the objections that they have to you coming from a position in their mind of you represent somebody that is only there to sell my house, right? Start listening for that. Okay, let's do a little role play. You guys want to do role play? We'll start with an easy one. I just want to hear you guys book an appointment with me, okay? So there is, we got like 7 minutes left. There's a little button down here. It says reactions. Actually, here's what I'm going to do first before we do that. I'm going to run a poll. If you'd like to do a skill assessment with our trainers, it takes about 20 minutes. They jump on Zoom with you, and what they'll do is they will do some role plays to test your introductory skills, how you get into a conversation. I don't remember who it was that said William Rodriguez getting blown off the phone, right? That's all about your intro, my friend. They'll test your intro. They'll test your ability to handle some basic objections, how you go about doing that. They'll test your ability to what we call articulate your value proposition. Do you guys know what a value proposition is? A value proposition is if I said, Chris LeBlanc, why should I buy a house with you? Or Amir, why should I sell my house with you? Whatever comes out of your mouth, that's your value proposition. So they'll test your skill at being able to articulate your value proposition, and then they'll test you on your ability to set a logical appointment, right? To ask for an appointment. So they'll test you on all that and give you feedback that will immediately impact the number of qualified appointments you're able to set. So I will run the poll, and you can just say whether or not you want one of my trainers to reach out to you to do that. It's totally complimentary. And if your mind is so blown and you love it so much, you may have the opportunity to train with us if you so choose. But this is totally complimentary. So if you'd like to do a skill assessment, you can do that there. Now, let's role play real quick, okay? There should be a little button down there that says Anthony Brown wants to role play. Of course he does. Should say reactions, right? You can raise your digital hand and I'll role play with you. And so it's going to be a super simple one, Anthony, and everybody else who role plays. Basically, I'm going to say, oh my God, I wish a professional real estate agent could come to my house in the next couple of days and tell me what I can do to it to get the most money in this market, right? And then you're going to close me for an appointment. And it can't just be great. Should I come over on Wednesday? Okay. Here's what I want in the close. I want what we're going to do, how long it's going to take, what I'm going to get out of it. Not necessarily in those orders, okay? You guys hear it? What we're going to do, how long it's going to take, what I'm going to get out of it. And actually, to give you the, advanced tips, start with what I'm going to get out of it, what we're going to do, or what we're going to do, what I'm going to get out of it, and then how long it's going to take. Okay. So raise your digital hand if you want to role play. Anthony Brown is our first role player. You can just raise your hand so I know who's role playing. And I'll just pick you if enough people don't raise their hands. That's always good news, right? Veselka looks like she should role play with me. Herbert Hernandez, he's a loyal supporter. Amir Kamarski, I think you need a role play. Maybe Chris LeBlanc, he looks like a master strategician. Okay, Anthony Brown. Anthony, I just wish that a real estate professional could come over to my house in the next couple of days and tell me exactly what I can do to my home to get it sold for the most money in this market.
Yeah, for sure, Dale. What is it about the most money that's important to you?
I like money.
Okay, money's good. Absolutely. A lot of my clients and people in my network find it beneficial when I come in quickly. It won't take very long. And can I take a look through the house with them and maybe identify a couple things that prospective homeowners in your market are looking for in a property to really maximize that value? Does that sound like something of benefit to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Anthony. That sounds great. Now, Anthony sounds great, everybody, right? Round of applause.
I have appointments available Wednesday or Thursday morning. Which of those is better for you, Dale?
I love it. I love it. Okay. Anthony, just to make sure that you get the value out of this, let's do this, okay? Anthony, I'm going to share my screen again. Now, I am a seller who says to you, Anthony, thanks, man, but we're not going to be selling until after the summer. And I'll reach out to you, as we get closer. So I want you to use this language under later, and I want you to try to set a face-to-face with me and make it make sense.
No, Dale, I can certainly appreciate that. What is it about after the summer that's important to you?
Okay, great objection handling, but let's say you don't have the time and you just have to shoot for your close and it has to have this later language in it.
Okay. A lot of my clients, Dale, even if they're looking at selling in the fall, they kind of want to know what they can do to their property right now to maximize the return from their sale when they do sell. So myself or one of the people on my team can come by and have a quick look around the property with you and talk about kind of what we can help you out with when you are ready to sell to maximize that value, kind of between now and the fall when you said you're looking to sell. Maybe we can set an appointment for Wednesday or Thursday next week. Does that work for you?
Okay, I think that was good, Anthony. But I think that your language, again, imagine this person. We're in January or going into February. They're thinking like August, right? So you said what you can do right now. If you listen back to this, your language is still a little bit immediate. And I think you can make it even farther out, even more relaxed, do over time. I think that we could get more of that in there if I was to give you feedback.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to take one more stab at it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, Anthony, imagine I'm your best friend, right? And it almost doesn't really make sense to meet with an agent right now, and you know this. So I want you to really cast that reel out there, man. Okay?
So I can appreciate, Dale, that you don't want to list till probably the fall. A lot of my clients, they like the resources that we have on our website in terms of what's going on in the area around you, what comparable properties are selling for. There's a lot of good things that we can start doing like that over time to kind of get you ready for when you are ready to sell. Would that be something you're interested in?
I think we're doing better. Get rid of the two readies, but you're on the right track, sir. Good job.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Veselka, how are you? Let's go to the now one, okay? I want to hear how your now closes. All right, you just unmute yourself. There we go. Can you hear? Or can we hear you?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, so Veselka, man, I really wish that a professional agent would come to my house, give me an idea of what my home will sell for and what I can do to sell it for the most money in this market.
I appreciate that. Can you please describe me your home prior that I come and visit your house? Just give me ideas so I can be well prepared, and we'll take it from there.
Hold on. So I just want you to close me for the appointment, right? So that's going to be, hey, I'm going to come to your house and we'll do X, Y, and Z, or you'll get X, Y, and Z out of it. Can we do it on Wednesday? That's the close part.
Okay.
What you asked for was discovery. You were like wanting information. We're just working straight on the close. Okay. So the Selka, I just need somebody to come to my house and tell me what to do to it to sell it for the most money in this market.
Fantastic. We're available Monday at 10 o'clock in the morning or Wednesday at 5.
All right. Now that was too short, right? You
Short
need to
and
say,
sweet.
Dale, I've got 30 years experience in the business. I will definitely come to your home, give you all the strategies that sellers are currently using to get top dollar in the market. I need to hear some of that fluffy stuff.
Okay.
All right, give me fluffy.
Okay, Dale. So you're looking to sell your house in the next 3 to 6 months. So I am available on Monday morning or on Wednesday 5. You're going to tell me which one is working better for you. And what we're going to do, we're going to sit together. We're going to make a time frame. We're going to make a plan. I'll give you all the guidance and advice of what we need to do right now to prepare a home and to get the best price with the best condition within your delay.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Yes, excellent. Now, take I'm available Wednesday, Thursday. Here's the great stuff you're going to get. Move it like this, okay? Here's the great stuff you're going to get. Do you want to do it on Wednesday or Thursday? That's all you need to do, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Because I want to hear all the amazing, great stuff I want to say yes to, and then the ugly thing I want to say no to, which is meet with a salesperson.
Okay.
Okay, good. William Rodriguez. There we go. Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, William, listen up. I just need a professional agent to come to my house and tell me exactly what I can do to get the most money for in this market.
Well, that's great. You know, our office has been here for 50 years and you're less than like 3 miles away. I mean, I can be there within like the next half hour or so. Go over some, strategy and take a look at your property and see what values your property has that we can put out there in the market and show you what we can do as well as a local brokerage.
All right.
What do you think?
It has the pieces. It wasn't very sexy though.
Okay.
Think about it. What am I getting out of that?
Yeah.
What I got was I'm gonna know what my house is worth.
Mm-hmm.
How sexy is that?
Yeah. Not too
sexy. Okay, do it one more time.
All right, so we're doing the now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So William, I just need a professional to come to my house and let me know what I can do to get the most money in this market.
Well, that's great. I mean, since our office has been here for the past 50 years. We're less than a couple miles away from your property. I'd love to come over and show and discuss and come up with a plan to, I'm sorry, I messed that up.
No, you're doing good. I want to hear what a plan to do what?
Well, plan to see how we can put your market and put your property on the market, so relist it and get it sold.
Okay. Now, everybody,
sorry.
What did I'm just going to help William. We're all going to help William. What did I say, everybody, that I wanted? I wanted a professional to come to my house to tell me what I could do to get what?
The most money in this market.
The most money in this market, right? So the easy thing did William ever say he was going to get me the most money in this market?
That's right.
He did not. He said he was going to tell me the value of my house, right?
Yep.
Now, I realize that maybe role playing in front of 100 of your closest strangers might make you do things a little bit differently. But guess what? You can't lose a commission here, right? I'm not paying you anything. You have nothing to lose. So my point is, this is why we role play and practice and we do it again because even when we do that, and then we listen to our clients' phone calls and we say, hey, you did so good in the role play. Why'd you screw it up when you actually spoke to the person on the phone, right? And we say, okay, now listen to what you did or didn't do on the phone call. Now let's practice it again, okay? And you keep doing that until it shows up in the phone calls, until it shows up in the real conversations. Because it's a huge difference between me telling you what to do and then you having to do it and role play it. And then once you get that down, it's even bigger going from a role play practice to saying that to a real live human being who's potentially going to shoot you down and take your commission away from you, right? Big, big difference, big leaps. Okay, so I'm super proud of everybody that role played today. We got to end for today. I'm sorry we didn't get some more people. For those of you that were brave and did it, you're doing a great job. If you'd like to do a skill assessment with us, the poll is still up. You can either drop your email into the chat. Our trainers will reach out and do a little, skill assessment with you, test your skills with you, or you can hit that poll and say yes, that you want somebody to reach out to you. But basically, they'll show you where the holes in the bucket are. And then it's just a matter of you getting the training and going through the process of practicing this stuff. So we can teach you really great techniques, but you got to practice it with us. Good? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending today. Good to see you. Have a great day.
Thank you.